Good day everyone. Today I'm going to discuss and present my PowerPoint presentation, which is the chapter for Ancient Greece during 1900 to 133 BC. How did the Greeks shape our culture? Ancient Greece was one of the first important civilizations in Europe, the classical era during the 5th and 6th century BC. So the country so reached its apogee and this particular period has had a tremendous influence on Western culture. Here are some ways that Greeks changed the world. First is arts. One of the many fields in which ancient Greece has a deep influence with arts. The first to develop this concept of aesthetic beauty, ancient Greeks created spectacular sculpture that have inspired artists from the Renaissance until today. Greek mythology was a major source of inspiration for many European painters which depict the many tales and myths in their works. Next, the form of government. Divided into city-state, ancient Greece has been a source of inspiration for many political systems we know today. Democracy was invented in Athens, and it was unique in the sense that every citizen, either read, non-slave males, had the right to vote and speak at the assembly where laws and decisions were made. Next is the architecture. Ancient Greek architecture has influenced many architectural styles of today. The use of columns and pediments, for example, is a direct legacy from ancient Greece and is omnipresent in modern-day public buildings such as parliament buildings, museums, and even memorials. And they also influenced the world of sports. We're pretty sure that you guessed it, but yes, ancient Greece gave us the Olympic. The phenomenal sporting competition that we know today was actually invented around 776 BC and held every 4 years in Olympia in Peloponnese. These games lasted for over 1,000 years before they were abolished when Christianity reached Greece. Another visible legacy in the world of sport is the marathon. Next is the literature. As far as literature is concerned, the ancient Greeks were the first to create complex literature, which still influences us to this day. One of the oldest literature styles is poetry, and more specifically epic poetry, mostly used to depict the story of a hero. The oldest surviving epic poetry works are the Iliad and the Odyssey, written by Homer roughly around 800 BC. Next is they also influenced the world of sciences. Ancient Greeks had a lot of the time to their hands when they had involved in war. They had time to think about the and observe the universe and everything surrounding them. As such, ancient Greek scientists made significant discoveries in numerous fields such as geometry, astronomy, mathematics, and even medicine. Now we are going to explore the early civilization in Greece. During the 3rd millennium BC, the island of Greece was home to the most advanced civilization in Europe. Although Minoan Crete was not Greek, it did have some influence on the first Greek state. The story of the Greek-speaking Indo-European people moved into Greece around 1900 BC. The Mycenaeans provided the inspiration for Homer's epics and paved the way for the political and cultural development of Greece in the 1st millennium BC. Next, the impact of geography. The mountains divided the Greece led to the cultural political division between Greeks. However, this led in Greece to the rest of the world. Geography played an important role in development of Greek civilization compared with the land masses of Mesopotamia and Egypt. Greece occupies a small area. It consists of a mountainous peninsula and numerous islands that encompass about 50,000 square miles or about 129,500 square kilometers of territory, about the size of the state of Lusitania. The mountains and the sea played especially significant roles in the development of the Greek history. The mountains, the land of Greece has full mountains. The two peninsulas make up much of the Greek landmass. Then peninsula, this is a piece of land that is almost entirely surrounded by water, but is one side it's connected from the mainland. The ancient Greeks believed that their god lived at the top of the mountain called Olympus. Much of the Greece consists of small plains and rivers valley surrounded by the high mountain ranges from the 8,000 to 10,000 feet to 2,438 to 3,884 meter high. This mountain isolated Greeks from one another, causing different Greek communities to develop their own way of living. So nagkabuwag-buwag ang Greek communities causing to develop their own way of living. Over this period of time, this community became fairly independent. These independent communities are encouraged by political affairs. On the other hand, this rivalry between this community fined to warfare and devastated Greek society. Seas also influenced the evolution of Greek society. The Aegean, Mediterranean, and Ionian Sea make up the eastern, southern, and western borders. The Greek first settled in Aegean Sea, and the people of Greece used the Aegean to travel to city, and also Aegean seas provided fish for the people to feed. The ancient Greek also lived in the numbers of islands to the west of south of the Greek mainland surrounded by water, and it's very clear that the Greeks became seafarer. Now the Greeks sailed onto the Aegean Sea, and the Greeks sailed out to the Aegean Sea, Mediterranean Sea, and Black Sea, making contact with the outside world. Later, they established several colonies that spread Greek civilization throughout the Mediterranean world. So now we will try to know the civilization of Minoans and Mycenaeans. The Mycenaeans created the first Greek civilization. First, we will explore the Minoan civilization. Arthur Evans, English archaeologist who first discovered the civilization, named it after King Minos, the legendary king of Crete. Kaya the structure kuno similar sa labyrinth that the King Minos said to have built. Minoans spent so much of their time to trading to the Mediterranean Sea. At the beginning of 20th century, Arthur Evan discovered an enormous place complex Crete at Knossos. The remains of this complex revealed as a rich culture with Knossos a center of a far-ranging sea empire based on trade. The ship of the Minoan took them to Egypt as well as southern Greece. At the palace of Knossos, Arthur Evan discovered evidence of Linear B, oldest surviving writing in the Greek dialect known as Mycenaean. Evans wrote about Europe's earliest literature civilization. He wrote the clay archive found in the palace of Knossos and the elsewhere have proved that the prehistoric Cretans had already 1,000 years before the appearance of the first written record of classical Greece passed through every stage in the evolution of a highly developed open system of script. This evidence of a simple pictographic stage and a conventionalized hieroglyphic system growing out of it, according to Arthur Evans. Their trade finally created pottery and gold and silver jewelry from the crate for other goods. Trade also helped the Minoans improve the goods they produced. They drew inspiration from techniques and design from objects from other lands. The center of Minoan civilization on Greece suffered a sudden and catastrophic collapse around 1450 BC. Some historian nga giingon nga ang cause sa pag-collapse sa Minoan civilization is caused by a tribal wave nga gitriggered by a powerful volcanic eruption by the island of Terra that are called Santorin na nag-cause of devastation. Some historian also nag-iingon na gituo sila na devastation is the result of innovation of mainland Greeks as Mycenaean. Next is the Mycenaean. Mycenae, the first Greek state. Mycenaean comes from Mycenae, which been a fortified site on the Greek mainland that was first discovered by the German archaeologist Heinrich Schliemann. Mycenae was one center in the Mycenaean Greek civilization that flourished between 1600 BC and 1100 BC. Mycenaeans were the first people to be considered Greek. Mycenaean Greeks were part of the Indo-European family of people who spread into Europe and Asia. One of this group entered Greece around 1900 BC and gradually gained control of the Greek mainland. Mycenaean civilization, which reached its high point between 1400 BC and 1200 BC, was made up of powerful monarchies. The Mycenaeans were above all a warrior people who provided themselves under heroic deeds in the battle. Mycenaean walls moral often show where the hunting scenes, which are the natural occupation of the warriors' aristocracy. Archaeological evidence also indicates that the Mycenaean monarchies developed an extensive commercial network. Mycenaean pottery has been found throughout the Mediterranean Sea in Syria and Egypt to the east and Sicily and southern Italy to west. Mycenaeans took over Crete and they became the major trader in the eastern Mediterranean. By the late of the 30th century BC, Mycenaean Greece was showing signs of serious trouble. Mycenaean state so ang Mycenaean kay nagkaaway-away sila and the major earthquake caused a widespread damage during the 12th century BC. From the new waves of Greek-speaking invaders moved into Greece from the north by 1000 BC, and the Mycenaean civilization kay collapse. So now we will try to know and explore the Minoans and Mycenaeans and under different civilization. So Greeks in the dark the Minoans and Mycenaeans play an important role of ancient Greek history as the two different civilizations helped ancient Greece. Now, after the collapse of Mycenaean civilization during 1200 BC, the Greece centered a centered period in which population kay decline and nagka-shortage sila sa food resulting sa food production drop. Now, according to some historians, called the period from approximately 1100 BC to 750, it's called the Dark Age because of few records of what happened in this. Now, during the Dark Age, many Greeks left the mainland and sailed across the Aegean Sea to various islands. Many went to the western shores of Asia Minor, a strip of territory that came to be called Ionia or Ionian Greece in modern days. This is called Turkey. So nagkabuwag-buwag sila, ang uban giadto sa Aegean Sea, some are giadto sa Asia Minor. Went to shore to Asia Minor. Two major groups of Greeks settled in established parts of Greece. The Ionian Greeks of northern and central Greece colonized the large island of Lesbos and the territory near the mainland, while the Dorians established themselves in southwestern Greece, especially in, in the Peloponnese, as well as some of the southern Aegean island, including Crete. During the Dark Age, there was a revival or pagkabanhaw. At the same time, some economic activity and some point, iron replaced bronze weaponry, making weapons affordable for more people. So, ang iron farming helps resource the decline in food production. So dako kayo nakatabang ang iron farming sa mga farmers to continue to flourish. The Greeks innovated farming in a very important work. So, in order to survive, nakatabang ang iron farming nila para para makasurvive sila. They innovated and they came up to they they innovated and came up sa mga tools na durable nga magdugay gamiton para nila. Like us now, we are adapted sa mga machinery nga makatabang nato para mapadali ato mga work. Sa farming, we have many machinery that help farmers. Then some of arts from the Dark Age has survived, giving us the meaning of life during the period, the first photo changes of the Dark Age. First is the griffin head design and pottery that is formed as well of Southwest Asia. The second photo is the statue shows a traveling musician and storyteller, the part like Homer. And lastly, from the 1100 to 700 BC is geometric pottery or typically Greek pottery. This amphora or two-handled jar is the created grapes near the Dipolam Gate of Athens. At some point in the 8th century BC, the Greeks adopted the Phoenician alphabet to give themselves a new system of writing. The Phoenician alphabet kay a systematic nga sayon and easy to learn and adaptable to other language or cuneiform. By reducing words to a combination of about 24 letters, both consonant and vowels, and Greeks sa mga Greek napadali ang way nila to read and write kay tungod sa Phoenician alphabet. The work of Homer, one of the great poets of all time, appeared near the end of the Dark Age. Next is Homer, poet of the Dark Age. The Iliad and Odyssey were the first great epic poems of early Greece. The epic poem is a long poem that tells the deeds of a Greek hero. The Iliad and the Odyssey were based on stories that have been passed from generation to generation. Both poems are hundreds of pages, but not to try to preserve the entire account of history as earlier oral poets did. Homer used the stories of the Trojan War to compose the Iliad and Odyssey. The war is caused by a Paris prince of Troy, by kidnapping Helen, the wife of the king. The Greek state was King Milenus. Greek state of Sparta outrages the Greeks. Under the leadership of Spartan king, brother King Agamemnon, the Greeks attacked the city of Troy. 10 years later, the Greeks devised a plan to take the city. They tricked the Trojan by building a huge hollow wooden horse. Tungod sa naglagot ang mga Greek sa mga Trojan, They came up to plan nga i-trick nila by using a huge hollow wooden horse. The best ang the Mycenaean soldier hides sa hollow wooden horse while the rest boards the ship and pretend to sail away. The joyful Trojan thinks themselves that they are victors, that they bring the gift horse in the city. That night, Greek crept out of the horse, slaughtering the Trojan men, enslaved the women and children, and burned the city with brand. Ang mga Trojan, wa sila kahibaw nga ang kitong hollow wooden horse kay na sud na mga Greek warrior. And para mabawi nila si Helen. The Iliad is not so much the story of the war itself, however, as it is the tale of the Greek hero Achilles and how the ancient of Achilles led to disaster. The Odyssey recounts the journey of the Greek heroes Odysseus after the fall of Troy and his ultimate return of his wife. It has long been considered Homer's other masterpiece. Some scholars believe that it is composed later than Iliad. Homer proved to be the great value of the later Greeks. He did not so much record history, he created it. The Greeks looked the Iliad and the Odyssey as true history, and as the work of one poet, Homer, this masterpiece gave the Greeks an ideal past with the cast of heroes. The epic came to be used as basic text for the education of generations of Greek males. As one ancient Athenian stated, my father was anxious to see me develop into a good man, and as a means to this end, he compelled to me more of all of Homer. The values Homer taught were courage and honor, a hero strive for excellence, which the Greek called arete. Arete is won in a struggle or contest.